Hello everyone, second try, let's see how we're going there. I already noticed I got everything except for my notes. Wait a second. Okay, I've got my notes. We're gonna start with current projects and a quick update. So, got all my stuff down here. My ripple butt shorts are done, finally, done forever. I will never make them again, no, but I will not rip this out and make them again. As I told you, I went down from, because it's a fingering weight yarn, not held double, I went down from a 3XL, I think, to an L. And because this just stretches so much, I actually could have cast it on a size S as well. I'm pretty sure, I'm really sure. I've just noticed that I've forgotten the set that goes with it. So let me just put you on pause one more time. Never will I ever have everything really at the ready if I need it. But anyway, so butt shorts are done. Ends, obviously, as always, not sewn in. I could have gone down to a size S, most likely, just because the fabric stretches so much. This is will be the matching top. And I've chosen the My Little Secret crop top to fit for that. To Google. I will link it down below anyway. I will always link everything down below if I don't forget it. So this will be the matching top because I want to make a set, as you can see. And that's kind of the thing with a two-colored variegated yarn. It will pool. As much as I love pooling, which I really do, and I'm glad it's a spiral because it's kind of cool, but I'm not super crazy about it because I actually like it. I actually prefer it if it's like speckled all around in the fabric. That's a terrible lighting, I'm sorry. So I'm kind of over pooling. I still love, you know, plan pooling with the argyle effect, which I have in my yoga bags and project bags, if you've seen them in my feed. But also this kind of pooling, you know, you have a V here, and this is stripes basically. But they're not, because they're not real pure stripes, it's still, it's not really pooling, so I can get on board with this. But this, due to the small circumference, is really pooling, and I don't know. This is actually, I cast on a size S for this top actually, because it just stretches so much. And so don't be like, that's a top, is that going to fit? I have broad shoulders, so I do understand your confusion, but I'm sure it will fit. Yeah, so I'm making it a normal length top, and so I've got like 15 centimeters in. I still got 20 centimeters missing, and it's just kind of boring right now because it's just 3x3 ribbing. I would actually need a little more for my brain at the current moment because my knitting mojo is kind of has flown away, but gym is open again and I'm going to have Pilates today. So maybe my knitting mojo will come back. Just full disclosure, 8 people in the room and most likely wearing masks. I hope we'll make it through cardio. I have difficulty with my back. My entire back is completely weakened, and I have muscles back there, but they're just existing. That's all they can do. And so I keep dislocating my discs, from my vertebrae, keep dislocating, which then lead to a severe vertigo. Is it vertigo? I think vertigo is the wrong word, but I get really, really dizzy if I'm really having a bad time. I'm really in bad luck, and you know, due to the fact that I move so very little, and then I have, you know, like strained shoulders and a strained neck, and then I get a headache and eventually a migraine if I'm in bad luck. And it's been really, really bad these last 3 days because I'm like, I need to move, I need to do something. And I need motivation by other people. I need the peer pressure. I need to suffer with others along. So I'm really happy that I'm hopefully, because it's first come, first serve. So we'll see how that works out. But I'm really happy to just get moving again. I need that. And I'm not for home workouts. It's just not for me. It doesn't work. So that was the My Little Secret crop top. The part of the Free the Ripple Cow that's going on right now from Jessie May. What am I doing here? I'm knotting my stuff up. And we're already 6 minutes in. That's good. That's good. No pressure at all. I'm really seriously, what am I doing here? What is going on? So another current project that I haven't told you about yet is this lots and lots of rest of my shibboleth yarn in colorway cocktail, which I used for my full length knot sweater. And people have been suggesting to me the Ripple bralette by Jessie May, but I don't have that pattern, but I do have the framework bralette pattern, so I decided to cast on the framework bralette. As you can see, I'm also bought with this because it's just ribbing, so this is why there's only like ½ an inch. I'll take care of it. I'll make it's there. It's cast on. It's a current project. It might eventually become a UFO. It's a whip right now. It might become a UFO. We shall see. Another current project, also something I asked about in my Instagram, on my Instagram, I can't speak, what to do with the knit crate, March knit crate? I think March knit crate, because I wanted to do the Ripple butt shorts with this, but yeah, the swatch wasn't pretty. And people suggested, only one person suggested, I can only rely on Catherine. So if you didn't answer my sticker, you should feel a little bit guilty right now. You may feel a little bit guilty. Anyway, Catherine suggested the Bubble sweater by Jessie May. I'm not a fan of that Bubble V sweater, I think. I don't like V sweaters anyway that much. I just make exceptions for the sheer. But I did find a shawl. I'm going to show you that right now because I have that here too. And there's a picture here. So it's the Gatsby shawl by Dawn Henderson. And I think it was a free pattern because of Corona. I think she gave that away. Lots of people did that, by the way. There were lots of free knitting patterns available. Anyway, this is again, you can tell that I've not been really into knitting much because this is the beginning of the Gatsby shawl. And this is how far I've come. So, but you know, I've told you, I'm not too crazy about shawls. It's just such a pity because I see so many shawls and I'm like, and they're so amazing. But I can't really get into the knitting of them. I don't know why. Because especially this construction is really rather simple, but it's just, I don't know, it's still not interesting enough. I really can't explain it, why I'm having such difficulty with it. But that's what's cast on right now. I hope that didn't make too much noise. Another thing that I casted on, and it's the project that just keeps tripping me up ever since I got the pattern. I've been wanting the pattern for ages, and then I got the pattern, and then later on because it was on sale, and then later on I got yarn, and it was the wrong yarn, and then I got new yarn, and again it didn't work because I made a mistake in calculating yardage. So this is the yarn we're talking about, and well, what could this be? What could this become? Scarlet and Gold. Any Harry Potter fan out there will know that this is supposed to become something Gryffindor, and it was supposed to become a Gryffindor, all about that brioche shawl. But I don't know if you can see it, but I'm very particular about the shit I do. And like I said, I miscalculated yardage. I don't know why. I just was not paying attention. I was not reading the pattern thoroughly enough. And so I should have bought a yarn that would have 384 meters on 100 grams. I think that would be like 192, 196 meters on a 50-gram ball. And so you would most likely at best get 200 meters, like a clean number. I bought 120 meter on 50-gram balls. So what that comes down to is that this fabric is really dense and really thick, and I think I'm already, or I know that I needed to change needle sizes within the project. So I've used a 4mm, I think, for the garter stitch, and I would change to a 3 or 3.75 for the brioche part, and then go back to a 4mm for the second garter part. And but it's supposed to become a really big shawl, and it would be just, it's too thick for my liking. But going down a needle size would, you know, scrunch up the garter stitch and make the fabric even denser. And so this is how, of course, blocking would do a lot, but this is already, to me, this is like, I don't like it. And if I'm already like, I don't like the way this works out because the yarn is too thick, then I think it's better to just rip this. I mean, this is just a teeny tiny bit. This is like half an hour knitting. So it's best to just rip it out early and start anew. And I'm still going to make it something Gryffindor. So I made this loop, or cowl, let's say, call it a cowl, it's more cowl. I started this when I was still living with my mother, and I finished it when I moved in here. So this is based off the design from the third movie. If you're a Harry Potter watcher and you know the movies, then you know that they've changed the designs of the scarves in the third movie to this design with red as the main color and 2 thin stripes of contrast color. Whereas in the first 2 films, it was same size blocks of alternating Scarlet and Gold. And so I did this, and to make it quicker or to make it easier, I just knit a tube to the length that it would fit around my neck, and then just, I think, Kitchener stitched it together. Nowadays I would do a 3-needle bind off, that's why I was just trying to remember. And this is actually the same yarn, at least the red one. It's just, it's not the same colorway, but it's the same yarn. And I'm confused. I was confused when I got this, or not when I got this, because I had this already. But when I looked at it, it just seemed a lot thicker. When I knit this, I remembered that it seemed so very thin to me, especially because I knit this in a 3.5mm needle, I think, which was new to me then. Because I was, up until then, I was still just working with worsted weight yarn mostly, so 5mm needles. And so this took me long, and this was wearisome in terms of knitting it up. Which is also why I only made a cowl and not a longer version to just wrap around my head twice. But that's essentially what I'm kind of thinking about for this. So I would, especially because the colors also matched the design from the first 2 movies better, with the red a little bit brighter, I'm going to make the color block shawl, or the color block scarf, that's the right term, from the first 2 movies with this. I'm just not sure, because you know, the original design is obviously an open scarf, but I've never really liked those. So I'm thinking about making it a loop that will this time go around my head twice, but I don't want to knit a tube because that would be too thick, or I wouldn't have enough yarn. So I'm kind of still like, what am I going to do? I'm not sure. I'm also not sure which stitch I should pick, because this is a 1x1 rib, even though you might not be able to see exactly, but you can see here where it's stretched a little bit. It's a 1x1 rib. And I would have to look at production photos of the first 2 films to see what they did, if it was a stockinette or also a rib they used, a rib pattern. I've seen people who've just done a garter stitch, which would obviously be lovely, because you just have to knit. You just have to knit for like, I don't know, 120 centimeters. That's kind of the length I go for a loop that should go around my head twice. And then you just have to 3-needle do a 3-needle bind off, or Kitchener stitch it or sew it together, whatever you prefer. I would do the 3-needle bind off, and that would be super easy. And as much as I love garter, I just don't like the end result of that. I just don't, just like, yeah. So I would actually I would rather go for a stockinette, but that's annoying knit flat because you need to knit and purl and knit and purl. So the ribbing is more interesting, but also kind of a drag if you're knitting 120 centimeters of ribbing. Yeah. The garter stitch is very tempting thinking about it now, but I don't know. It's no use if I'm not happy with the end result and the way the project looks at the end. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you prefer. Maybe I'll put up a questionnaire in my Instagram. So yeah, that's current projects. Let's jump into future projects. So let's start. This is sorted by alphabet due to the sorting in my file. It has nothing to do whether I like a project more or less. So the first thing, I have already cast this on actually. It's lying buried somewhere in my boxes. It's the Accidental Adventure Cow by Knit Boob. I love Knit Boob. If you don't know her, you must go and see. She's a beautiful human being, an amazing person, and if you don't like her, you might as well get the fuck out of here. That being said, this pattern is amazing. It's a huge, to me, a huge loop, and that's also kind of the reason why I haven't continued knitting it. It's great for scraps. If you see the project she's used for the photographs, to me, that's an insane kind of color combination. I would not dare to do that. Mine is actually various shades of red because my stash is just very not diverse and just full of different reds, especially dark reds, and full of purple and lavender and some petrol. And I do have some neutrals just to have them for accent, but I barely ever use them. They're just there, so in case I really needed them. But yeah. So mine, actually, I could issue mine out if it's done with the hashtag 50 Shades of Red. But it's a super interesting knit actually because she has different stitch combos in there, and the way it works out with this diagonal look, it's just really cool. The only reason why I haven't continued doing it is the fact that you were talking about, let me not lie, 130 stitches. And that brings me back to what I said in my last video. I was complaining about the big stitch count on a different shawl, which I'll show you later as well. And was saying that some people are scared of sweaters because sweater constructions can be complicated, and usually have a lot of stitches. There's a lot, it can take a long time. And I was just ignorantly blurting out 120 stitches tops. Somebody made me aware that that's obviously stupid because I was not taking into account that I was talking about my size, and it always depends on what kind of yarn and what kind of needles you're using. Even my sweaters do not have 120 stitches on the body, but with the recent sweaters I knit, I was around like 150, 155 stitches. So it was kind of close to that number, but obviously if you have a different size, or if you have a different yarn, that stitch count obviously will vary a lot, and I was just not thinking about that. So if anyone felt offended by that, I'm really sorry. I did not mean to hurt anyone with that or anything. I was just really not thinking about that. But what I actually meant was more like the distinction between having a shawl with, in the end, 400 stitches for one row compared to a garment which is usually knit in the round, or when I knit it, it's knit in the round with just much less stitches. Even if we're talking about 200 stitches with a fingering weight yarn or even a lace yarn, maybe, even then it's just like only half of that stitch count. And to me, that's kind of the thing. As much as I love shawl constructions and as much as they awe me and amaze me, I always rather knit garments because I also rather wear garments. So that's kind of the difficulty with all the shawls and accessories I'm showing you today, that I really love the look of them, but I've knit that's all I've knit since I've started knitting, which has been 5 years. So I'm kind of bored by the process, and I'm also bored by the end product a little bit because I'm more into garments right now. But I still have a lot of stuff on my list, especially due to there's always something I can learn usually in the patterns I pick. That's really important to me, that I can learn a new technique, and that's always why I go for certain things. And that's also the case with the Accidental Adventure Cowl, because first of all, the color combinations, even though I could not make them work myself, but to know that the possibilities are there by having this particular example. So the next one is also one that I will not be able to cast on very soon because I just don't have the matching yarn, sadly. But I'm so in love with it. I mean, look at it. The Aquamalite by Park Williams. I mean, look at that sketch. I'm not going to show you the picture on her because she's too beautiful anyway. I'm just going to show you the sketch because the sketch is what I'm all about. I love this. This is amazing. I am in love about everything about this. The neckline, the bubble sleeves, This shirt is immensely old. I haven't worn it in years because I've been kind of over the bubble sleeve thing, but people are coming back at me with knitting designs with them, and they're just amazing. They're just awesome. This is actually a raglan knit from the bottom up, and I'm only used to raglans knit from the top down, and I've avoided bottom up because you have to knit the sleeves before and then add it all to the needle and then make decreases, and I just, the whole thought just creeps me out no end. It might help you avoid sleeve island, but it can also be like, I'm never going to cast this on because I have to get rid of sleeve island right away. It has a little bit of eat that frog philosophy or kind of thinking, but I don't have the matching yarn right now. I don't have a yarn right now for that, so we'll worry about that later on. So another shawl pattern by Knit Boob is the, I'm hoping I'm saying this, Bojagi. I have no idea. It's embarrassing. I really shouldn't talk. I really shouldn't say anything if I don't know. By the way, Knit Boob's patterns are all free. She's a PhD student, and she does this just as a side hustle. She's not dependent on this for her livelihood, but she is happy if you can buy her a Ko-fi. She's always really happy for a Ko-fi donation. She really likes that. And look at that shawl. Does she deserve it or no? So this is, to me, is a sideways bias knit, which I love. And again, I love the stitch combination, also the color combination. To start with a garter panel and then go to a mosaic panel, which combines two colorways, and then go to a lace stitch. I'm usually not so crazy about lace stitches. I value them for their look, but I have one favorite lace pattern, which is just a mesh, and which is also, I think, the easiest out there. And other than that, lace patterns can't usually really tickle my fancy. But this, especially in this combination, is really pretty. The next one is also something that I will not be casting on soon because it, I think I would have matching yarn because I think this calls for a worsted weight. But I'm terrified because I think it's Entrelac. Let me just say it's called Rise and Run by Sarah Chapman, and it's a free pattern like most of the patterns I'm showing you right now. You can find that on Manos del Uruguay. They have lots and lots and lots of free patterns. I was kind of shocked because I was like, is this ever going to stop? I've just downloaded 10 free patterns and I see no end. This is one I really like. I think it's, the technique is like Entrelac, but I'm not exactly sure. I've flicked through the pattern real quick, but I could not make sense of it like that so quickly. And I've tried Entrelac years ago when I was starting out with knitting, and I could not manage it, which is why I'm kind of scared. But with the garter stitch and those different, especially this color option, this is I think they're both two colored options. That's red, so that obviously speaks to me. And that makes me go, oh. So that's really, really pretty. I will really, if I get that done, I'll be really proud of myself. Yeah. So let's talk about the slice of light. So the slice of light was the one I was mentioning last week with the 400 stitches at the end. I do not have the right yarn ready for this because you need 2 different colors of fingering weight and a matching mohair. But I'm still terrified of the slice of light. I do not need my shawl to be 220 meters in, I don't know, wingspan. I would really love to adjust this pattern to make it smaller, to make so that the end product is a lot smaller. But as I said, shawl construction eludes me. I have no idea how to make that work. So I'm scared of that. Another shawl, because I just know how to do it. I love this shawl so much. This was in my knits for 2020 list at the beginning of the year. And I think it's Smitty. I don't know nothing. And I love it so much because it's twisted ribbing. Twisted ribbing is always delightful. And it has that big garter edge or garter ending. And I always think that looks so pretty. And it has those kind of, what do you call that? I don't know, but it folds in at the edge, which I love so much about the Komodo cardigan. And I love this so much, and this actually has a pretty story as well. It's by, I'm hoping I'm saying the name right, Nidhi Kansal. She's a lovely Indian woman, and she was so dear, she was so sweet. When I posted this in my Knits for 2020 list, she saw that it was on my wish list and she asked me if she could gift it to me. I was overwhelmed when that happened because I was not expecting that. That was so sweet. That saved me money. And I was so, because it calls for worsted weight yarn and you do not need that much yardage. But to me, this actually is too small. I'd actually like to make it bigger. I think, at least looking at the picture again, I'm like, maybe it's not too small. But I've not been happy with my color choices because I could use all of my worsted weight yarns, but I'm not crazy about the colors right now. So the colors I am crazy about, I need for different projects. So it's that's a real bummer. I've been really annoyed at myself that I haven't been able to cast this on already. But I don't want to do just any color because then I won't wear it again. It's just, I'm kind of mad at myself for that because it was so sweet of her to just give that pattern to me. It was so dear. So this one is by Dot Pebbles, aka Claire Garland. She does lots and lots of stuffed animals. Can we call it? I wouldn't call it amigurumi, but she does a lot of knitting patterns for tiny stuffed animals, and they're real looking, so they're not supposed to be like comic childish. They're supposed to be more or less mimic the natural look of animals. So they're really true to life. That's what I was trying to say. And of course, this snowy owl, this little Hedwig, was too adorable to pass up. And I did cast that on, but I put the marker wrong, and then I couldn't finish the pattern because everything was wrong. And it's actually a good thing for scrap knitting, but I'm also not crazy about the yarn choices I have and the color choices within that yarn. So I don't know when I'll get down to that, because you kind of pick that. It's a very inexpensive pattern, and you kind of pick that because I'll have something like that in my stash, and then you look in your stash and you maybe got something, either the yarn quality is terrible or the color is terrible. So, but to specifically buy something for that kind of pattern seems kind of off to me, if that makes sense. So another one that I really love because it will teach me new techniques, new possibilities will open after I knit this, is the Southwards by Sharon Hartley. And I think this was also offered as a free pattern because of Corona. And look at it. Look at that back. Look at that back. To me, that is amazing. that is most likely rather, no, to me it doesn't look easy, but it probably is quite easy to make that kind of overlapping design with this inserted lace in a different color. To me, that just blows my mind. Blows my mind. And it's just so amazing, and that will enable me, hopefully, to create a different design that I've been thinking about, where the overlap and the inserted part is on the front, actually. That's based off a shirt or dress jacket sort of thing that my character in Hogwarts Magical History, what is that game called? I forget. I play it every day. I forget. Harry Potter, Hogwarts Mystery, I think that's what it's called. So there's an outfit my character wears, my avatar wears, that I've been thinking about. Couldn't I make that a knit design? That would be so cool. Or to just at least base it off of that. And this could actually help me make that work. So it would not become a jacket. I wanted to make it a cardigan, but it would just be a long sweater or dress rather than a cardigan. But this would enable me to actually make that work and figure that out. Look at that. And like I said, I'm not crazy about lace, but this is just so pretty, so beautiful. And I don't like picot edges, but the Gatsby shawl has, it's not a picot edge technically, but I don't know the right word, but this has the same kind of edging, and I think that's just so pretty. It's just so cute. And again, it was free. I don't know if it's still free. Sorry, but I got it for free. I was so thankful for Corona, seriously. So Corona was a godsend to budget knitters, honestly. Another one that has been on my list for ages. I actually wanted to do it with the March knit crate yarn that I showed you earlier, the Wifty Top by Aurora Knits. I've had this pattern what feels like forever, I think a year, and I still haven't found the right yarn because I'm actually looking for the same kind of speckled stuff that the model is wearing. And so the knit crate one would have been okay, but I think the yardage might be off, and I will have to get the right yarn for this. We shall see when that will be. So I think this was another 3 pattern. This is called Zippo, I think based off of the lighter, looking at it. And it's basically, it's a very simple rectangle poncho with a zipper attached, which will then make it look like super cool. And I think this could be a really easy, no-braining knit, but still interesting enough. And I just love knit stuff when there's, you know, like a really quality zipper attached. You know, those little details, I love that. So this is why I picked this out too. And that could be a really good stash buster too, because I'm still trying to get rid of my stash, especially the lower quality yarns that are not in, because I'm still a budget knitter, and I'm not a yarn snob. So I do not believe that you need to have the most expensive high-end hand-dyed yarns. You can work perfectly well with any kind of industrial yarn, with an acrylic yarn, with a polyamide yarn. But you do have to see and figure for yourself out which quality you need and you're comfortable with. And I do have stuff in my stash that I would not buy anymore, because I know more right now. I know more. I've had more experience, and so I know where to get inexpensive but still better quality yarns. And I mean that rather in terms of, if I'm going to knit a garment with this, I want it to feel good on my body. And the yarn I have right now does not deliver that. It's okay and perfectly fine for hats, for scarves and stuff like that, but it's not good for garments. And I wouldn't, most of the stuff I have, I wouldn't even use for shawls, just because the stitch definition isn't so good. And, you know, the end project or the end product doesn't look so good with that kind of quality, with that quality yarn, with that less quality yarn. But it depends, and it has little to do with money or cost or fiber content. For example, a really good, I don't have it here right now, but a really good budget yarn, which is also, I think, polyamide 100%, is Schachenmeyer's Soft and Easy. It always comes down to taste, but to me, it's inexpensive. It's a 100-gram skein. You can pull it from the middle, easy, center pull very easily. great color range, and it's super soft. It really does what the name says, lives up to its name. And I also think it knits up nicely, and I've done my diamond loop with that. Stitch definition is really, really good, and so that's something that I really like. I think that could be a good staple for budget knitters to have in their stash. I think you can knit everything with that and have it look really, really good, while at the same time being inexpensive and good for those who are allergic to animal fibers, or who just don't want to work with animal fibers. So that's my 2 cents on that. Last one, and this is me ranting. Iron Woman, hear me rant. Do you have those moments where 40 minutes in, I'll get this done. 50 minutes is okay. This is okay. I can deal with that. Do you know those patterns where you have that PDF file and there's no picture of the project in it? I cannot be the only one who has patterns like this, and I cannot be the only one who is absolutely annoyed with that. This is not shade against the designer I'm going to mention now. It's just an example because it's such a pity. I love the Zwischending and die Kuscheltuscher by Monika Kaulen. I love them. They are very similar at first glance in terms of the construction, which I'm saying now because I don't know better, because there's no picture in the file. I've actually saved the picture of the Kuscheltuscher in my Instagram, so I know what that looks like. And I'm sorry, you know me. First of all, the colors she chose for that, of course I'm going to fall in love with it. And it's brioche with garter stitch in combination. There was no way I was going to pass that up. And the Zwischending, I think, is rather similar in construction, or has the same stitches, uses the same stitches, so also brioche and garter stitch, maybe a bit stockinette thrown in. I can't tell you because I don't know. And as you can tell, that makes me rather upset. And I don't remember if the patterns are for free. One might be for free, one might have been $150, but it does not depend whether the pattern is free or not. If I am able to insert a picture into a PDF file, then every one of you must be able to do so too. If I can do it, you can. And I really don't get it why designers do that, whether their patterns are for free or not. Why is there no picture in the pattern? Don't do that to us. I'm going to tell you why this upsets me so much. I forget. I have so many patterns on my phone and saved in my Ravelry as favorites and put up in my Ravelry queue and saved in my Instagram that I cannot remember all of them. And especially if I have downloaded a pattern ages ago and I look into it and I'm like, what is that? I don't remember. The name does not ring a bell. I can't remember. Let's look into it. Let's check it. And then there's no picture. I get so mad. I've actually even deleted patterns already for that reason, because I have no idea what that looks like. I'm not going to Google it. Gone. And it's especially for a beginning knitter, I think this can actually be a make or break, because you do not know what the pattern looks like. So you have to constantly Google or go to Ravelry and remember to look at the pattern. So you kind of know what you're headed for and what it's supposed to look like, which always helps. I remember I used to stare and zoom in on pictures in the patterns to make my life easy while knitting. I'm like, is this right? This doesn't look right. And when there's no picture, you can't do that. And even me as an experienced knitter, I'm like, there's no picture, fuck it. And I don't even know if I just described the correct pattern to you, because I can't tell you, because I don't know. And it makes me sad, because this is actually, I'm quite sure I'm remembering the Kuscheltuscher correctly. I love that so much. It's so pretty. So pretty. 2-color brioche. I mean, come on. Seriously. But it's like, there's no pattern in the picture, so I don't want to knit it, because it will bother me no end when I'm knitting it. It's like, I haven't even checked if I've got a stash if I've got yarn in my stash to actually make it. Because it's like, there's no picture, I'm not doing it. And that's just such a pity. It's so sad. I mean, designers do not have to give a shit about me not wanting to knit that. I might be the only one who feels like that. But it's just, it makes me sad. It's such a pity. It's really, it's not a big deal to put in a picture into a PDF file and save it and upload that file with a picture in it. If I can do it, anyone can. And I don't get it. I really would like to get, I don't know, to have a designer let me know why they do that, why they don't put in a picture. I don't need, what is it called? Progress pictures. I don't need progress pictures. For a beginner, perfect. For a beginning knitter, awesome. But as an advanced knitter, I could care less about progress pictures. But I do need one good picture of a finished project. Honestly. And that's me being really nitpicky. When it comes to a shawl, I like the one where it's spread out and you can see the entirety of the shawl, and not one where it's just wrapped around a mannequin or yourself. Most people do that. Most people have various pictures of a finished project and various shapes and stuff, because I do know that sometimes, especially with photographers, in a certain way, and you know, like kind of the detailed photograph is really interesting, and especially for an Instagram feed. But for me as the knitter, I like to be have the project like spread out and to see the entirety of it. That's just me being nitpicky. So that's my 2 cents on that. Rant is over. Okay, I think I've covered everything. We're at 46, 43, and there it is. So I think we've went through no, I forgot one. I forgot the project that is most likely to happen very soon, and because it's such a quick knit, that's embarrassing. Look at that headband. Look at that headband, isn't that cute? It's the True Love headband by Violet LeBeau. Love that name, LeBeau. I think this was definitely free. I think it came from Knit Picks, and I'm quite sure you can also still find it there, and most likely still for free. Isn't this cute? Is this cute or what? There's also lots of interesting techniques in there. So provisional cast on, Judy's Magic cast on short rows are explained in this pattern for some reason. I have not looked at it yet, but and I don't know if you need everything for this particular pattern, but isn't this cute? This is super for scraps. This is a super quick knit, and I really need to do that very soon. That's amazing. We were now able to end with an uplifting tone and not with my rant. Susan, I saved the prettiest for last. That was on purpose. That was obviously on purpose. So let me just try and finish this at 50 minutes. I'm really glad I was able to put this up. I'm sorry if it was a little bit rushed or anything. If there's questions at all, let me know. Drop them in the comments. Let me know on Instagram if you like. Whatever. Let me know if I should upload, first half of these videos onto IGTV, so to get you interested as a kind of a sneak peek, or if I should, I don't know, upload bloopers instead, and then you decide if you want to see the real video, so you have something to see on IGTV as well. Let me know if you'd like that. Bye. Have a great week.